Yo, what's up, sports bettors? I got a ton of player props on PrizePicks for you guys, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to go through those. And the first play I have is from the sportsbook screen. So sportsbook screen. And all this does is it gives you basically a complete view of a market, right? So we're currently looking at NBA player rebounds. And what I ended up going with is right here, Bruce Brown under 4 rebounds. Right, so PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy, they're two very similar fantasy platforms. They allow you to bet on player props and they have fixed payouts, as you can kind of see here. So essentially, I just look for discrepancies mainly between PrizePicks and Underdog if I'm looking for profitable player props on PrizePicks, right? Because typically when they're different from one another, there's some value in the market. So I say this all the time, but all of these sports books, right, they all set lines independently. So as a sharp bettor, you're kind of hunting through the market looking for discrepancies. And what you're going to notice about Bruce Brown is on PrizePicks, his line's at 4. On all the sports books, right, we literally have dozens of data points telling us where this line should be set. Is PrizePicks is at 4, their direct competitor, Underdog Fantasy, platform works in basically the exact same way, is at 3.5, PrizePicks at 4, Underdog at 3.5. All the sportsbooks are at 3.5 as well. So you're going to notice the sportsbooks have the over slightly favored, so you can see lines are kind of moving around right now. So what this OddsJam column is, OddsJam Algo odds, is it essentially weights all the different sports books, right? It weights all of these different sports books. Some sports books, like if we go over some of the sharper sports books like Pinnacle, will have a slightly higher weighting than sports books like Fliff, things like that. But this is basically just a market consensus, an average from the market. And you're going to notice it's roughly minus 114. There's slight juice towards the over, but PrizePicks is at 4. All the other books are at 3.5. We want to take the under, right? So that's the first player prop I went with. And then before we kind of get into the next picks, I know I say this all the time, but it's really important to understand how PrizePicks works because a lot of people will tell you, oh, this is how you win on PrizePicks. This is how you win on PrizePicks, right? And there's so much BS. Right? Like, I'm just going to talk about the math, the payouts, how PrizePicks works. There's no crazy strategies that don't relate to math. This is all based in math. So if you look at PrizePicks, right, it's a fixed payout platform. Any 5 flex you create, doesn't matter if you take overs, unders, doesn't matter if we switch this to a different pick, if we switch this to an over, you're always getting the same payout, right? So essentially, PrizePicks is a fixed payout platform, right? This is their payouts. I'm literally just breaking down how their 5 flex pays out, and I'm calculating what percentage of your plays do you have to win. So, for example, this is one of our plays. Let's say it is Kevin Durant over under 28.5 points. What percentage of your plays do you have to win on PrizePicks to be profitable playing 5 flexes? So for 5 flexes, it's 54.25%. So it's pretty simple. If you're winning 57% of your player props in 5 flexes, you're going to be super profitable on PrizePicks. You're going to have an ROI of 19.25%. If you can win 57% of your over-unders, just like this one, if you can hit these correctly 57% of the time, you can still lose 43%. You're going to have an ROI of 19.25%. Right? So why do we play 5 flexes and not 2-pick power plays? Well, 2-pick power plays, if you're hitting 57%, your ROI is still negative. Right? So it really matters that you're playing 5 flexes. So what you're going to notice is when, I go through my previous PrizePicks entries, you're basically going to see me exclusively placing 5 and 6-pick flexes. You're never going to see me give out a 2-pick power play. And again, that's because 2-pick power plays are horrible. If you're winning 57% of your picks in a 2-pick power play, your ROI is negative. Whereas in a 5 flex play, if you're hitting 57% of your picks, again, it's positive. So this is all you have to do, right? People add in so much BS. All you got to do to make money betting on PrizePicks is win over 54.25% of your player props. Doesn't matter if you're betting on the NBA, golf, NHL. All you have to do to be profitable is win at least 54.25% of your picks. So how do we do that? Well, the tool I typically start out on is the OddsJam Positive EV tool. So we just looked at the screen, but another tool I use pretty frequently is right here. It's called the Positive EV tool. And, it shows you plays for sports books. So this is a bet that I locked in earlier, actually at slightly better odds. I have no idea what Fliff is doing with this still up. They're giving you Maxey over 3.5 assists at plus 125. No other book except for FanDuel, is even giving you plus money. I mean, all these other sportsbooks aren't even giving you plus money, and you're getting plus 125 on Fliff. They are asleep at the wheel, no idea what they're doing. And I say this all the time, but like, you think about an investor, you think about a day trader, what do? They look for value, right? An investor may only make 3 investments a year, 4 investments a year, but they're scanning through the market, looking for value, looking for underpriced assets, looking for where they can get an edge. So it's no different in sports betting, right? Like on PrizePicks, I don't need a bet on every single player. There's tens of thousands of lines and different things that I can bet on PrizePicks, player threes, right? I'm just looking for those 5 plays that actually have an edge, right? Like an investor is just looking through the market, looking for value, looking for underpriced assets. And it's no different in sports betting. You don't need a bet on every player. Maybe I don't have a bet on Embiid tonight or Tatum. And I know they're the most popular players, but the value here on Fliff, if you use Fliff, is on Tyrese Maxey, right? So you don't always have to bet on the hot player, right? Like I'm just looking through the market, looking for plays with an edge. Sometimes I have more tennis bets. Sometimes it's more NBA picks. I don't know. I wake up and I look for value. I look for an edge. I don't know in advance which player or which sports book even. Sometimes I have more bets on underdog. Sometimes I have more plays on PrizePicks, Fliff, FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars. It depends, right? Never know which sports book is going to slip up on a given day because they all set lines independently. So I found a lot of value on Fliff recently, but again, more sports books, more profitable betting opportunities. So this play is on PrizePicks. Luke Weaver under 15.5 outs, right? So this is the first play I went with. So when you're looking for plays on PrizePicks, just make sure you have PrizePicks 5 or 6 flex selected for one of your sports books. And then you're just looking for these plays in green and in bold. If you don't care about the math, you just want to know the picks, you don't care at all, you just want to make money, it's just these plays in green and in bold. Right? But I try to make these videos educational so you guys understand, how PrizePicks works, how PrizePicks strategy works, how to make money on these platforms, how to do it yourself, how to look through the market, read lines, and find value. So what you're going to notice about this Luke Weaver player prop and what we know about PrizePicks is we know, right? PrizePicks does not vary payouts, right? Based on us selecting overs or unders. It doesn't matter at all. We could take all overs, all unders. This is always the payout you're getting for a 5 flex play. And we know it doesn't matter if you take overs, unders, all you got to do to beat PrizePicks long term is win 54.25% of your player props. So this is the perfect example of what we're looking for. Super high profit margin too, 6.54%. Right? So why is this play so sharp, so profitable? Well, look at the sports books. Every sports book, sure, there's some discrepancies, but the main ones, right, the sharpest sports book in the world, Pinnacle, they have this under all the way down at minus 171. So the under is super heavily favored. If you think about it, minus 200 means 2-1 favorite, 66.67% to win. So if you could get plays that were minus 200 on the sports books and you were hitting 66.67, minus 200 means 2-1 favorite, 2/3 to win, 2/3, 66.67% to win. So if you could find player props on PrizePicks that the sports books have an over or an under one side at minus 200, your ROI would be 111%. Roughly 110.7% on PrizePicks. So obviously that's unrealistic, right? But regardless, this isn't all the way up at minus 200, but 3 of these main sports books have this at minus 170. All the sports books have the under favored. All these books, right? They all have the under favored. Hot Streak has the under as the favored outcome. They have it juiced to minus 145. Betway has the under favored. Just the bet in bold and in green. So obviously, the sports books are telling us, Luke Weaver, his under is a lot more likely than his over. His under is a lot more probable to occur. That's what they're telling you through their odds. In the same way, if we go to, let's say, the NBA, then let's also open up a calculator we're going to look at here in a sec. But, for example, if we look tonight, the 76ers are, pretty big underdogs. They're plus 380. The Celtics are best offered at minus 425. So again, always get the best odds, right? If you're placing bets on the Celtics at minus, 500 money line on TonyBet, which is a Canadian sportsbook, when their sportsbook's offering 75 cents better minus 425, you stand zero chance of making money. You're getting ripped off, right? It's kind of like being an investor who has to buy everything at twice the price. You don't stand a chance if you don't have numerous sports books and you're not looking for value. But long story short, the Celtics are big favorites, right? The market, the data points are telling you the Celtics are big favorites. These sports books, you can't outsmart them. People always think they can outsmart the market, outsmart the data. Anyone who tells you Luke Weaver's over 15.5 out should be favored is clueless. You have billion-dollar companies, sportsbooks that have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, all telling you the same thing. His under should be favored. His under is the favored outcome. And guess what? If the over should be favored, every sharp bettor would have hammered the over at plus 127 on Pinnacle until the sportsbook flipped it to make the over favored. Right? So sportsbook odds, they don't only represent what the sportsbook models think, but it also represents the belief of the market, the belief of sports bettors. Right? Lines are the way they are because of action that comes in. If everyone started pounding Luke Weaver's over at plus 127 because they thought the over was a lot more likely, if the sharps did that, if the sports betting syndicates did that, well, what Pinnacle would do is they would continue to move their odds lower and lower on the over until action started to come in on the under. Just like the price of a stock, right, is the balance of supply and demand. It's no different in sports betting. If everyone hits the overs, lines are going to move towards the over. That's called line movement in sports betting, and you can see line movement by just clicking on an odd to pull up the chart. So unless you think you're smarter than every sportsbook, they're billion-dollar models, they're better data sources than you, and every other sports bettor, which is pretty arrogant. You think you're smarter than the market, you're smarter than every other sports bettor. It's really clear that Luke Weaver's under should be the favorite outcome. So obviously you'd rather take the under in your PrizePicks entry as opposed to the over. Right? So because the sportsbooks have the under so heavily favored, I mean, Pinnacle has the under all the way down at minus 171. So according to Pinnacle, sharpest sportsbook in the world, right, we know all we got to do to make money on PrizePicks long term is win 54.25% of our picks. According to Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker, they have the under all the way down at minus 171. They're saying the under is 58.89% to occur. Again, minus 200 means 2-1 favorite, 66.67% favored to win, right? So here, it's not all the way at minus 200, so you just put the sportsbook's odds into this calculator, and it tells you, according to that sportsbook, so according to Pinnacle, the odds they're putting out, the odds on the sharpest sportsbook in the world, this plays 58.89% to hit. So it's a profitable play to include. Right? Caesars, DraftKings have a bit different odds, right? So DraftKings is plus 120, minus 160. So you're going to see a slightly lower win probability. It's not 58.59% or whatever Pinnacle was. It's slightly lower, 57.52. But it's still profitable. You just got to win 54.25% of your player props to be profitable on PrizePicks long term. And all the big sports books, Caesars, DraftKings, Pinnacle, all the big sharper sports books are telling you, yo, this is 57, 58% to win, 59% to win. So this is an incredible player prop to include in your PrizePicks entry. So then a new tool that we launched and I've started to use is called the fantasy screen. So again, like we've added some new books, Sleeper, Boom Fantasy, Parlay Play. But basically the way this tool works is, again, you got to win. This is literally just the math behind PrizePicks in their payouts. Like there's nothing complicated going on here. If you win 55% of your picks on PrizePicks, you are guaranteed to make money long term. It's really that simple, right? There's nothing more complicated. So long story short, what this tool shows you, and you're going to notice there's a lot of overlap with the EV tool, but is Luke Weaver under 15.5 outs is 58.48% to win. And that's kind of an average of where all the sports books, where their win probabilities are using that Nove odds calculator. So basically, we just want to take all these plays over 54.25%, which are basically just the plays in green. I think the cutoff we use is 54.3%. So this Michael Porter play is very, very, very slightly profitable. I mean, 54.29% means in your PrizePicks entry, it would have an ROI of 0.25%. So if you won all your player props at that percentage, your ROI on PrizePicks would be 2.5%. So pretty marginal, not exactly good. So long story short, this play on Porter is still very slightly profitable, but these ones are obviously a lot better. You want to take the plays with the highest probability of winning, because that means your ROI on PrizePicks will be the highest. This is the only input to how much money you make on PrizePicks. This is all that matters. If you get this to 60%, you're going to be insanely profitable. 43.4% ROI. This is the only number you care about. Nobody, though. Whoever claims they can win 60% of their player props on PrizePicks is so full of BS, because that would mean they're making returns of 43.4%, which is unrealistic long term, right? That's way too good. But what you're going to see is Luke Weaver under 15.5 outs. I'm just following the data. I don't know anything about this guy. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because the sportsbooks do and the market does. And it's all about the data, right? George Springer to record a run. Devers to not have a run, right? Sportsbooks have him heavily favored to not get a run. Chris Paul over 21.5 points plus assists. All the sportsbooks have his over favored. Luke Weaver over 2.5 outs. Slightly worse than this other play on Luke Weaver, but whatever. I included them both. So George Springer to get a run, Jaylen Brown over 24.5 points, Porter over 23.5 PRAs, Luke Weaver over 2.5 walks allowed, Bruce Brown under 4 rebounds. So this play was from that first tool we looked at, which was called the odds screen, right? We found some on the positive EV tool, and then we found some on the fantasy screen. So all these tools, right, work in slightly different ways. So maybe some days you'll find more value. Like this play we saw in Bruce Brown, discrepancies between PrizePicks and Underdog on the odds screen, right? The fantasy screen is comparing when books are setting the line at the same level, right? So the fantasy screen is telling you, hey, Luke Weaver's line is 15.5 on all the sports books as well as PrizePicks, but sports books have the under super heavily favored to minus 170. So this is a sharp player prop bet to include in your PrizePicks entry. The odds screen, the first screen we looked at lets you compare when books are setting the lines at different levels, right? Like imagine if PrizePicks had his line at 14.5 or 13.5. You know, you can't compare the odds because they're different bets, because the line's at a different level. Luke Weaver over 13.5 outs is a different bet than Luke Weaver over 14.5 outs is a different bet than Luke Weaver over 15.5 outs, right? So this tool, the fantasy screen, just screen fantasy screen, lets you compare when books are setting the line at the same level. So this play has a lot of value on PrizePicks. So this is where I find most of my plays. What's also nice about it is it doesn't require manual work, right? You literally just take the top 5 plays, make sure they're in green, you put them together. That's a sharp, profitable bet on PrizePicks, right? You don't have to do anything. The odds screen, you have to look around manually, and sometimes there's really amazing plays on the odds screen. Sometimes there's less value, but you got to put in more manual work. So this is the first play I went with, 100 to win 1,000. And then my really big one, I like this play better. Devers to not get a run. Luke Weaver under 15.5 outs. Jack Hughes under 4.5 shots on goal. Chris Paul over 21.5 points plus assists. Porter over 23.5 PRAs. Again, basically all these plays are just from here. They were from the EV tool. I showed that play on Luke Weaver. All the plays found in data. No BS. Just placing bets based off data because I like money, and that's what works. So hopefully this video was helpful. I appreciate everyone's time. Let me know any questions. I'll include my email in the description, as well as this spreadsheet breaking down the math behind PrizePicks payouts. We have some great videos in the end screen, educational videos. The whole point of all of our content is to help you make more money sports betting. So any topics you're interested in, you can feel free to email us as well. So thanks so much for your time. Let's get it.